All right, guys, we are back for the NFL team draft, the highlight, the culmination of the offseason. You know that the season is about to kick off when Dan, Rich, and I pull our minds together and we go ahead and do a snake draft of all 32 teams. Actually, it's 30 teams. We leave off 2 of the top 30 teams in the league who we think is going to get the most wins this upcoming season. I'm going to go with the Giants for my next pick. I think this team is still like years away because the general manager needs the opportunity to get in there and pick out his own ingredients and shop for them. And they're just really hamstrung with the salary cap right now and potentially the quarterback situation right now as well. But I think from a coaching perspective, just philosophically, you can't get much further away from what they were doing over the last couple of years, which to me was total lack of emphasis on skipping third downs, total lack of care about trying to be explosive down the field, and just setting themselves up to be in third down and let's convert a third and short every single offensive series, where versus what I think Daboll and Kafka are going to do this year, which is try to coach this team to bypass third downs, try to build in a little bit more explosive offense, use the quarterback's legs a little bit more. And that alone, even if the rest of the roster is identical to last year, should result in a couple more wins. I don't see a very high ceiling whatsoever, though, for this season. But I best of the bunch, so to speak, in my opinion. And then this last one is...
Hold on. I want to jump in here. The Giants are plus 1,400 on BetMGM to have the worst record in the league, and I love that bet. They're heading in the right direction. They're doing the right things, but God, this roster is bad. And like on purpose. Like this defense is going to give up 1 billion points. And I'm not sure how there's any way around that.
They're going to be such a fun fantasy defense because they're going to blitz so much.
Talk to the people about why that is, Dan. Tell people why you think they're going to give up a ton of points.
Wink Martindale ran cover 0 in the preseason 13.4% of the time. The next highest rate in the preseason was like 6.7%. So he ran cover 0 more than double, which is everyone's blitzing man coverage across the board. I live about 10 minutes away from Giant Stadium. I am expecting a call at some point to play cornerback for this team because there is zero depth there. Like their best corner is Adoree Jackson, who hasn't played like a good full year in a while. Like he was okay last year. But you're counting on him. Like your next guys up are like Aaron Robinson, who has really been up and down. Cordell Flott was a third round pick who's going to probably play the nickel. They went into the initial 53 man cuts with 3 safeties on the roster. They've added a couple guys. They just put Tony Jefferson on the practice squad, but like this is a secondary that cannot hold up in man coverage, which is like all Wink Martindale wants to do. And so like there are going to be a lot of passes thrown on this team. There are going to be a lot of big gains thrown on this team when a big blitz does not get there because they just don't have the guys to do it. And then like Daniel Jones is bad. Like I think Brian Daboll is very good at what he does. I just don't think it's quite good enough this year to like get over what Daniel Jones is. If Kadarius Toney ever gets on the field, like he's the only receiving option. Like who else are they throwing to? Like it was Colin Johnson tore his Achilles, and that was a big deal for the Giants, right? So like this is the type of thing like we're talking about for this team. Like this is not a good roster. Like it's part of the plan, but for 2022, I think it's going to be very ugly.
Yeah, I think the point you make about their defense and the blitzing and the fact that this is so different a talent situation. I was actually on a Giants podcast yesterday talking about this, but the talent discrepancy here between them, the Giants of 2022 versus the Ravens of the past several years in the secondary, like the players that they have there is very different. Number one, from a talent perspective. And number two, Baltimore was playing with a lead frequently in that second half. So much became very predictable about what that opposing offense was going to have to do. When you're playing the Giants in 2022 and you're playing at a deficit in the second half, and that offense has the entire playbook open and can do whatever they want, and your corners aren't good and your depth isn't good, and it really is going to be a very different scenario for Wink than what he was dealing with in Baltimore. Completely agree with you.
Right. The reason the Ravens defense didn't work last year is because every corner got hurt, and like the Giants are starting with that.
Right. Exactly.